Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm Hilmarie Hutchison, and today I am so honored to introduce Abdullah Madkhali, a renowned author, business expert, and investment advisor. Abdullah is the author of the recently released book, The Beacon of Opportunity, which serves as a comprehensive guide for exploring career and investment opportunities in Saudi Arabia. Abdullah's insights into Saudi culture, corporate norms, and emerging market dynamics have made him a sought-after voice in the field. Abdullah, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, and I'm really happy to be this podcast, and thank you for inviting me.
Can you start off by telling us a little bit about you and your background?
Well, my name is Abdullah Madkhali, and I have around 20 years of experience within the corporate field in Saudi Arabia, and my specialization is basically strategy and talent management. Currently, I work as a head of HR in one of the technology companies here in Saudi Arabia, and my main focus is, as mentioned, is to really give any kind of advice or support when it comes to talent management and strategy in general. So that's in a nutshell my overall career and background, I would say.
So then how did you get into being an author and writing about the opportunities available in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I mean, that's quite an interesting story behind it, because working in the human resources field in general, it gives me the opportunity to really interact with a variety of, I would say, colleagues, mindsets, and backgrounds. The fact that, I engaged with them with conversations, in opinion, in supporting them even when it comes to really visiting the country, I noticed that there is a lack of understanding, I would say, of how it is really like to be or work or even interact with anything in Saudi Arabia. Everything is happening currently in Saudi, right? So there's the Vision 2030 and all its the changes and the transformation and the cultural transformation that is happening. So a lot is going on. But I was thinking to myself, I said, okay, still with all this happening, there is still a stereotype that is present. And even in people who are currently residing in countries next to Saudi, like, for example, UAE, where the stereotypes, especially for the, let's say, non-GCC, non-Arab residents, I thought to myself, okay, why don't I try to contribute to whatever is happening here in Saudi and support the transformation by giving sort of a guide or a resource that can help anyone who wants to really understand or know a thing or two about Saudi when it comes to the market, when it comes to the investment landscape, and when it comes to even the cultural. I mean, the culture is not really, I did not focus mainly on the culture as a culture overall, but the corporate culture. That's what I really focused on, because it's a little bit unique when it comes to the Arab, I would say, mindset when it comes to corporate culture. That really motivated me to start trying to doing a lot of research and try to really put together something that can be really useful for anyone who wants to really understand Saudi. And I came up with the decision that I will have the book targeting two main categories, which is basically the foreign investors and also entrepreneurs. We'll also have a combination. It also relates to the career and living in Saudi. So that's how I came up with it, because even with all this happening in Saudi, there is still a stereotype that really needs to be addressed, and also a lot of misconceptions are still there. And I try to really make it very clear and try to make it obvious that whatever misconceptions is not the case at the moment. So yeah, that's what really motivated me to do the book.
Excellent. You mentioned Vision 2030 for Saudi Arabia. And as we know, Saudi Arabia is undergoing rapid transformation. How do you see this shaping the business and investment landscape?
There is a reason behind the Vision 2030, right? One of the main reasons is really to have a diverse economy away from oil. When we say away from oil, that means there's going to be a huge boost in every single sector that can really produce revenue to the country internally and also invite foreign investors to invest. That's the main aspect that really, the Vision 2030 is based on, is to diversify the economy away from oil. And also oil is just, it's still there, but it's going to be just a part of the various economy channels. Number two, it's inviting the world people to really come and visit Saudi, see what Saudi has to offer. It's rich in culture, it's rich in resources, it's rich in every aspect that you can imagine, because the Saudi Arabia is huge and it's land to numerous landscapes from sea to desert to even subtropical areas in Saudi, believe it or not. And not a lot of people know that. Vision 2030 really tries to open up Saudi to the world while making the citizen of Saudi be in a more high level of quality of life, and also whoever wants to visit Saudi. So that's, in a nutshell, my view of the Vision 2030 and what I really try to support in my book.
What do you believe are the most promising sectors for investment in Saudi Arabia right now, and why?
Saudi Arabia is a part of the world. Whatever trends you see globally, it will definitely impact Saudi. Accordingly, the main two sectors that I see really will be, which is actually already in place. First of all, the technology sector. There's a huge investment in technology in Saudi Arabia. For example, now you have the government, or the e-government basically, where you have everything you need to, as whether you're a resident, whether you're a citizen, everything you do online, right? So the technology is one of the main key areas or industries that is booming at the moment. You'll see also events like Leap, for example, which is actually now, although I love my UAE brothers, but we're beating them in GITEX, believe it or not, when it comes to Leap. So that's one industry. The second one is also for the renewable energy. Look at what's happening in Saudi. Look at the sustainability initiatives and the green initiatives that is conducted and being established in Saudi. You have huge projects like the Line, for example, where the main focus there, or the main theme, is renewable energy and sustainability. And you have also the green project, which also led by Saudi Arabia and the Middle East in general. So these two industries are I would say, the eye-catching or the most, focused on initiatives.
Very interesting. So technology, which is, as you say, also affects the whole world, but there's definitely opportunities for that. And as you say, there is this bit of competition between Leap and GITEX, which one is bigger. And then, of course, the other opportunity you mentioned is renewable energy, sustainable and green initiatives also offering opportunities for investors. Earlier on, you mentioned the need to dispel the stereotypes that people have about Saudi Arabia. And in your book, you also highlight Saudi corporate culture and corporate norms. What are some of the key cultural insights that foreign investors or professionals should be aware of when engaging in the Saudi market?
Basically, what I mentioned here in the book is I try to really, summarize the main or the key points that really they need to focus on. So when it comes to the cultural norms, for example, I focus on the corporate cultural norms where, for example, in Saudi, also it goes a little bit beyond to the GCC countries as well. And let's say, for example, the importance of really building relationships, right? So in Saudi, the relationship building is a little bit, I would say, it has its unique way of doing things where you need to gain the trust to build a relationship. When it comes to negotiation, you need to sometimes find a win-win situation or meet the person halfway to really have a negotiation. Also, another example is when it comes to the mindset of employees, which I mentioned also in Saudi. Okay, let's use the global or the multinational companies as an example. When it comes to the reporting lines and hierarchies, okay, there's a huge hierarchy that goes all the way down from the corporate headquarters and to the regions and to the main geos here and there. And also it goes all the way down to the employees. When it comes to this level of employees here at the geo level, you'll find the structure or the reporting line is more, I would say, more flat. It is a way of arranging the hierarchies, okay, which is very much successful, okay. But when it comes to the way the communication works in the flat structure, it can be takes away a little bit from the authority of the people who are working there. So when it comes to the authority, the Saudi, let's say, corporate culture, and I'm also sure that is also found in nearby countries as well, the employee or the nature of people there, they look up to their leader. And who's the leader in this particular perspective is actually the line manager or the direct manager. So they always look up to this person for support, for help, for guidance, right? When there is a flat structure, this might not be the case in countries that have, or let's say business models that has this type of the reporting line, which is flat. The hierarchical, if people really wants to have the maximum of productivity and maximum of communication to be really driven all the way down to the direct frontliners, I think a type of hierarchical authority there where a person can really go to someone who is there in the country, not somewhere else, can be a little bit different in terms of the hierarchical reporting lines. So these are just two examples. I don't want to really go into details. There also, I talk about some aspects about the leadership and how leaders really need to manage employees in different countries, for example, even in Saudi. So I don't want to really go into details and bore you with all these corporate concepts.
We don't need to give away the whole book, so that's fine. We just wanted to get a few little tips, a few little insights that you can share, so that's great. Navigating legal and regulatory frameworks can also be challenging for foreign investors. Do you provide any guidance in the book to help overcome these hurdles? Again, you don't have to give away the book.
No. There's nothing really. I mean, when it comes to this one, this is one of the most important sections of the book, basically. Because what I tried in the book is to really make a guide where I tried to put together all the aspects that really interest the foreign investor and entrepreneur. First of all, I mean, whoever wants to look into Saudi, he or she really needs to have an understanding of the regulations, what the regulations, have to offer. By the way, the regulations is just becoming more and more easier and more straightforward, and you can get things done in just a click of a button. I provided information related to the company's law, to the labor's law, to the investment law, where I really try to guide the foreign investors in all what he really needs to know. There is a comprehensive section about the investment, a comprehensive section about even opening companies there and how it works and how it operates. So I really try to make the book more towards being a guide to foreign investors rather than just a bunch of information that I just, throw there and just keep it there for anyone who's interested. The book works as a guide, and I really encourage whoever wants to know about Saudi, whether regardless if he or she is an investor or entrepreneur or just a person who wants to have a look at opportunities finding a job in Saudi. I believe that the book is a good resource to really understand how Saudi and the Saudi market and the Saudi business landscape really is.
Yes, an absolutely valuable guide from an insider's perspective that can really help to navigate all the challenges that one might face. What role do you see small and medium enterprises playing in Saudi Arabia's evolving economy, and how can investors tap into this potential?
When it comes to the startups, maybe you're here, we might be focusing on startups, and startups now is really in a focus where the Ministry of Investment is really trying to support startups in general, and with a lot of support, even when it comes to funding, when it comes to intellectual property, all the resources and all the aspects that would support small and medium enterprises and even startups is in place, and it's becoming more and more friendly towards making doing business more and more easier. Every now and then we hear a new law or a new resolution saying that things are getting more and more flexible, more and more better for people to really drive their investments into Saudi. You can see that, every now and then you have countries coming into Saudi to really explore the investment opportunities. 2 days ago, you have the French president in Saudi. He brought all his team to really explore the investment opportunities in Saudi. That goes all the way from the big corporations in countries and all the way down to small and medium enterprises, even in individual entrepreneurship as well.
So Saudi Arabia is definitely taking steps to make the changes to make it more friendly to foreign investors.
Absolutely. And that with the misconceptions and stereotypes I'm trying to address in my book so that, it make it very clear, because everything is there. Still, some people or some minds still have this misconceptions. Hopefully, with all these efforts and investments in the media and the promotion of all the efforts in Saudi will help support, let's say, eliminate all these misconceptions.
Now, for someone just starting their career or an investment journey in Saudi Arabia, what would be the first steps you would recommend?
First of all, anyone who really wants to go and have a look at Saudi, he needs to or she needs to really do their homework from a research perspective. All these research are being, I would say, being more and more simplified through channels like the Ministry of Investment, for example. Everything they need to know, everything they want to understand about investing, about even how to residing in Saudi when it comes to residency permits and every aspect. So I really advise them to go into channels like the Ministry of Investment. They can go there and also understand more and more and really, really dig into Saudi from a country perspective. Don't just focus on only on one city or two cities. Have a look at Saudi as a whole and see what really works for you from an industry perspective, from a potential perspective, or from an investment perspective.
Excellent. Good tips. Thank you for that. And thank you so much for the insights that you've provided for us today. The book sounds excellent, and I'm sure that our audience and those particularly interested in getting into the Saudi market will benefit from the book. So again, the title of the book, The Beacon of Opportunity. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I'll ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
I hope so.
What's one word you'd use to describe Saudi Arabia's future?
There is a future.
Okay, very good. If you could mentor any historical figure, who would it be and why?
I would say Voltaire, the famous philosopher.
Interesting.
He's a philosopher who really focuses on positivity and really being open to others, right? So if there is a mentor that I would, I try to mentor him in any ways, I would maybe work with him to really have his insight when it comes to being positive, when it comes to being open to everyone, to be a little bit more global, to be more inclusive to not just the cultures during the Renaissance era in Europe. There is a way I would try to have his concept to be based on the global, Africa, Asia, all cultures and all humanity, I would say.
Very interesting. Now I'm going to swap that question around and say, if you could be mentored by any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, yes, he's excellent.
If I can be mentored by him for any reason, I mean, the guy is just, when it comes to being his way of thinking and being able to really cope with all the challenges that life has to throw on a person like him, the Stoicism concept, away from any kind of controversial aspects, but the concept itself, where being able to really face all the challenges with a very open mind and really think towards how to get the positive aspects or the outcomes out of any challenge, that would be fantastic. So too bad that the guy died 2,000 years ago.
Excellent choice, though. I like that very much. What is the most surprising thing that you've learned about foreign investment in Saudi Arabia?
When they came in and saw with their own eyes, they changed the mindset. And that is evident by the huge amount of investment that has been driven to Saudi. So the invitation is just, come in, and people are coming, whether they are just, let's say, corporate investors, large-scale investors, or even small-size enterprises investors. Whenever they came to Saudi, they just changed their view about Saudi. That's what I've noticed. Basically, the concept and the stereotypes is just being demolished day after day.
What is a hidden gem in Saudi Arabia that every foreigner should know about?
The diverse landscape. There is no such thing as a hidden gem because every part of Saudi is a hidden gem in its work, right? So if you go to the south side of Saudi, you will see from the weather changes, from the agriculture, from the subtropical areas that is found in Saudi. And if you go a little bit to the north, you will find the deserts, you will find the landscapes is different. If you go a little bit to the left, to the west, you will find the sea, you will find so every part of Saudi is a hidden gem in itself, right? So everywhere you go, you will find this, and also it's rich and rich and rich of history. Every place you go there, you'll find archaeological sites that goes thousands and thousands of years back. So the concept of a hidden gem, maybe I will add at least 1,000 S's after the gem for the plural.
There's so many gems. Okay, very good. So if I was going to Saudi Arabia tomorrow, What's one thing I shouldn't miss?
If you go to Jeddah, if you go to Riyadh, if you go to Dammam, Khobar, everything is happening there. You just go there and just scroll and Google of the events you'll find inside there, and you will just be amazed of the events there, the cultural aspect that is there, enjoying even the landscapes of every region, because Jeddah has the sea, and also, Dammam, Khobar has the sea, but also a little bit towards the west. You will find the nice, beautiful palm trees in Al-Ahsa, for example. And in Riyadh, absolutely, you'll find the capital of the country with everything there. And also, if you go a little bit further, you will enjoy the beautiful landscapes there, the mountainous and places like you've never seen. I mean, there are places near Riyadh, it's like the Grand Canyon, believe it or not. You just need to explore and gorge yourself with whatever opportunities you'll be given to see and visit.
It sounds amazing. Definitely a place worth visiting. Well, thank you so much for playing along. That was easy enough. Now I would like to ask you our signature question about your green pill moment. Could you share an inspiring or life-changing experience that you have gone through, your green pill moment?
To be honest, I was thinking about it when, about this question. That brings us to, again, Voltaire. 20 years ago, I read, the famous novel of Voltaire, Candide, if you're, aware of this novel. It's all about, looking into things in a positive way, always thinking that whatever happens to you is for the future good that you can get. So when I read this novel, being at a young age back then, it kind of twisted the way I see things. So I always try to see things in a positive way, and whatever challenges or bad moments that can happen, it really gives me, there is something good that is going to come afterwards behind this challenge. It is a life-changing aspect, but from a conceptual and mindset. So that also, if you can also relate to Marcus Aurelius, it has the same, more or less the same concept. But this particular novel can be a masterpiece in itself. It just, when you read it, it just gives you all the aspects that you can help you live in a certain way, in a very successful way. This concept that would really made a difference in my life and how I think.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing that and for sharing this personal journey of yours. I've so enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure that your book and even this conversation is going to help a lot of our listeners who are interested in getting particularly into the Saudi market. Before we say goodbye, could you please tell our listeners where they can find and follow you? And we'll also put this in the show notes.
Basically, everyone can easily find me. I mean, I have my own website that I have the book there. It's www.abdullahmadkhali.com. And also, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So the minute you type my name, you'll find me there on LinkedIn. So these are the more two things. So when it comes to the book, it's available on all KDP Amazon stores, Amazon US, UK, France, Italy, everywhere, basically. You just search there in Amazon and you'll definitely find it. And it's a paperback format where you can easily, and it's a small size where you can easily take it with you everywhere you want to go. So definitely I would really be happy to, engage with any audience, engage with any questions that interested people or investors wants to know more about the book. And I really encourage people to go and check out the book, because I feel that is a really helpful resource for everyone who wants to really learn a little bit more about Saudi Arabia.
Super. Thank you very much. And one question I forgot to ask you, how is the book doing?
Well, so far, so good. I mean, I'm really getting a lot of positive feedback, and I already been getting reviews on Amazon, which is quite, getting a review within 2 weeks. That's something awesome. It's going in a positive way. And, I'm getting a lot of interest. A lot of people are supporting, especially on LinkedIn, where people are quite interested in this book and asking me questions about it. And so far, so good.
Well, that's brilliant to hear. I wish you all the success with the book. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you all the very best as well.
Thank you so much, really. And I quite enjoyed this conversation. I feel privileged to be on your show, and looking forward to probably more and more conversations in the future.
Fantastic. And to all our lovely listeners, please hit that subscribe button for more such content. Do not forget to like and share this podcast with your friends and family. If you could leave us a 5-star review, that would be amazing. Have a lovely day and stay curious.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.